Hey, welcome back. And in today's video, this is a little bit of a serious video. It's kind of triggering, so if you're easily offended, do not watch this video at all. It's about a YouTuber that's using his platform and his subscribers as victims. He's under the guise that he's an educator, and he's in the BDSM DDLG community, which, full disclaimer, I know nothing about, and if you want to know more about it, you should check out Brittany Simon. Her YouTube is in the description below. If you haven't already guessed, this video is about how no one should beg for Jay, and it's pretty gross, some of the things that he's done.
My definitions on things are so simplistic that I really don't find a reason to make it so broad and like descriptive. Realistically, it's the enjoyment of someone hurting for you. I can't say inflicting pain because for instance, I have a couple long distance subs. Now, there's only so much pain I can personally inflict on them. So with that being said, it's more so just the gist of that person being harmed for you, and they know that it's the pleasure of that.
Now you can see that he's struggling to find words for what he's saying. It's almost like he's making them up on the spot. This is a sociopathic trait that we will talk about a little bit later in the video, but it strikes me in the core that he's using his subscribers, his fan base, for this. And it becomes more blatantly obvious that he's less of an educator and more of just a guy picking up girls and using his platform to exploit these young women.
Control your entire life, and you literally live to serve them.
Now again, we're going to have him talking about definitions of certain things, which turn out to be his own definitions on specific things within the community, which are completely wrong, and remind me a lot of the sex cult case involving Allison Mack. Let's listen.
Comes into play. A lot of people mix that up. A master is somebody that's going to control your entire life, and you literally live to serve them in any way that they want, and they hardly give you anything back. That's it. Like that.
Okay, I do want to point out this. The fact that he's mixing this up, and he's saying that these people will do everything for you, when in fact, that's no different from the sex cult case involving Allison Mack, and where Rainier, if you guys haven't kept up with that, the video's above, but where Rainier had so many women, he even branded them and controlled every aspect of their life, and if they didn't listen to him, he would do heinous things like send them to Mexico. I'm not saying that Jay is to this extent, but we're trying to prevent anyone else from being hurt or permanently injured. And yes, there have been women that are going to therapy and have endured things like that from him, and we're trying to prevent that. On top of everything, here's a professional calling him out.
Yeah, I actually told you, how can you be 22 with 6 years of experience?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me either.
Yeah, and so if you started when you were 16, yet everyone that we've talked to a year ago, you were non-existent. So I'm kind of curious where you learned.
I learned from actually a number of people. I had experimented when I was younger with a girl named and she had been involved with a dominant prior to me. So when I got involved with her, that's
so it's child abuse then. If she was involved with a dominant, you were 16.
Yeah. So you were.
So I mean that's pretty severe.
Well, she was actually. I think she just turned 18.
If you didn't catch that, the BDSM master was calling one out, saying like no one's ever heard of him. Usually to be a master, you have to be well known in the community, as it's a very highly held title. And he just comes on YouTube already proclaiming that title, which is very wrong and can lead people to expectations. Then he goes on to talk about the credentials of how and where he learned it, saying that he learned when he was 16 from a much older woman, and then when he was called out as that was child abuse, he said he backpedaled and said, whoa, no, maybe she just had turned 18. And the reality is, if he is literally just a guy on the internet that got some subs, then he's just a normal guy parading around exploiting that platform in order to just have sex. That is literally it.
There's a few recommendations. BDSM 101. For one, a good book and read it, right, from start to finish. so you can actually get a grip of what it is, and then like I'll send you a whole bunch of material.
From what he's saying, you understand you're not a dom. You understand that now, right?
You're dominant. You're not a dom.
So you're a dominant man who likes rough sex.
He was called out by a professional with the title Dom, saying that he's not what he says that he is on his YouTube channel, which he continues to say that he is, and he doesn't hold that title. And this is what has caused a lot of alarm in the community. And this is why I'm making this video, is because people have been hurt, and we're doing our best to prevent that. And on top of this, it seems like he's using his platform as a way to manipulate women, as they see that he has a large following, and that's kind of, you know, people look up to people with a high count, which it doesn't matter if the count is high or not, in my opinion. It matters the consistency of the character of that person. But we have strong evidence towards a sociopathic nature towards these.
Like, I've heard stories from other women, and like it's almost I feel grateful in a sense that, you know, we were at a distance, and that like this didn't turn into a physically abusive situation. But you know, there is definitely like emotional things that really fucked me up.
So this is just one of his victims. There are many, and I'm sure that after this video comes out that a lot more of his victims will probably come forward. I believe the person that is talking now, her name's Lo, and she operates a YouTube channel called Milkwebs, which if I can find it, I'll put that in the link below as well. But you can tell that she's been emotionally manipulated by Jay to the point where you can really tell that this is just a normal guy. He actually sounds like your normal abusive relationship, not a educator.
With my time with Jay, it was always trying to get Jay to be the person that he told me he was, and that he convinced me that he was, rather, because, you know, in the beginning of our getting to know each other, he painted this picture that was like perfect, and it was all the things that every little has ever wanted to hear, such as there is no such thing as too needy, and I will always be available whenever, stuff like that. And then it was like, as soon as I said yes, as soon as we, you know, agreed to be in this relationship, it was like night and day.
And you gotta understand, this sounds like a normal abusive relationship between a girl and a guy. And I know you're thinking that's not illegal. It should be. Like, some of the abuse that happens in relationships, they're so bad, and that's really a trigger for me, but that's for a different video altogether. Yeah, he's just a normal dude, and he's hurting these women and using his platform and to perpetuate this fake agenda that he's an educator. Because it's like you would go into any other official that you would trust, like a doctor. You expect the doctor to you know, you would trust. There's like a patient trust there, and that's what this is. That's why it's so bad, because they come in expecting him to be a professional, but he's really just a normal guy, just no different from abusive ex-boyfriend. Now, a part of this video to bring awareness to this is that we need to know a little bit more about his MO, and I'm gonna play this right here, as well as read another example from someone else, and if I can get the direct from this, I'll put it in the description below as well.
If he knew she had a boyfriend, then by BDSM law alone, he should never have engaged with her in any form of play. I would like to remind everyone watching that this is a red flag. It is unorthodox to start a relationship or any power exchange within a few weeks of knowing a person. There is such a thing as pickup play, but this is usually with experienced or knowledgeable BDSMers, not with completely new people who have no idea how to negotiate for their safety. Every scene you do, every single interaction with a BDSM power exchange needs to be thoroughly negotiated, not something that you have as a casual conversation while sitting on a couch after a photo shoot.
Which is exactly what Jay does. That's part of his MO. It needs to be a professional thing. It needs to be on paper, if you can get it that way. These things are serious, and I'm going to read you a little bit of what he did to a young woman that left her emotionally scarred. When I first met Jay, it wasn't what I expected. I think I came into it believing he'd be a dominant in every aspect, including when we weren't shooting. I was pleasantly surprised. We had a great conversation, laughed, and talked about our children, then started the shoot. Things went amazing. I had never had someone check on me so many times. I felt safe. We did Little Space together and had never done Little Space with another person before. He fed me juice and snacks. When the camera was turned off, he held me, cuddled me, petted me. We turned on a cartoon and snuggled me on the couch for ages, and it felt so good. To be honest with you, that sounds great to me. Like, I love some cartoons, but this is him just being, it's very sociopathic. He's just him playing a part. He's learned already a lot about this young woman. The next day I told him that I knew that I was new to all this, but I felt something when we were together. I asked him if it was me being naive or if it was mutual. He told me I had a boyfriend, so we couldn't go anywhere with it. Of course, but that it was definitely mutual. He felt a connection too. We continued to chat and flirt. When I came home with several contributing factors unrelated to Jay, I was ready to end my relationship and started making moves to prepare myself for that. Now, personally, if I knew that someone was in a relationship, I would not, even if I did feel something for him, I wouldn't let him know. It's setting someone up for a confusing situation, and it could potentially hurt them, and it's just not right, especially if you're holding a title and trying to be a respected person, a part of the BDSM community. You can't be acting like this. It's like if your doctor was to tell you, I was checking your blood pressure there, and I just kind of, was it mutual? You know what I mean? That's just wrong. What eventually happened was they discussed plans to hang out. She broke up with her boyfriend when she told him that she had done so and was ready to try to pursue a legitimate relationship with him. You'll never guess what? He wasn't about it. He wouldn't answer. Finally, 2 days before his trip, he gave me an answer. I believed it was for Wednesday. I can't remember. After weeks of texting and flirting, I got a cold and calloused answer regarding what date and time he was available. Something didn't seem right, but I didn't press because I assumed he was busy. My relationship ended and I told Jay that it had finally happened. He seemed incredibly surprised. That was when he started to act differently, texted back less frequently and less flirty. It was almost like he preferred me with a boyfriend than without. We had discussed plans on seeing each other, so I kept trying to find out the date he wanted to do that, and then it got worse from there for her. Not only was he doing this to her, but he was doing this with multiple other women. And again, I know, it does seem like there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with being a player. But what is wrong is when you have a business, when you have a YouTube channel, when you're using your subscribers and fans for personal gain to use for sex. That's when it becomes a problem. You're supposed to be a respected member of the community, and then you abuse that trust.
I got a lot of messages from girls that he definitely made me feel like we're fangirls and had, we're just jealous or whatever. So at first I kind of pushed it off to the side, and I just continued to think that
not only was he seeing all these women, but he was having unprotected sex with all these women, sometimes multiple a day.
But I didn't think that he was lying about me to anybody else. Really, I didn't know that was going on.
And while he was with you, you guys were sexually intimate?
Yes.
And were you practicing safe sex?
No, he did not use condoms. He actually didn't tell me about certain parts of his body before that.
Now, on top of him having all these relationships, having unprotected sex, lying about parts of his body, there's so many things wrong. I won't be able to go into this video. And again, I'm going to say you guys really need to check out Brittany Simon's video. She knows everything all about the BDSM DDLG stuff, but it got worse as one of his victims was permanently injured.
So how long were you guys interacting with each other? How long were you?
6 months.
6 months. And then were you were having sex?
With him.
And was it safe sex?
No, never.
So no condoms
He said
ever?
he didn't believe in condoms.
He didn't believe in condoms.
I had asked if he had tests, and he did, but he didn't offer me any proof.
Okay.
And when I had asked for proof, he was very upset with me.
So basically, every time she questioned his methods, she would get a punishment. And since he was unorthodox, not titled, this was literally an abusive boyfriend that was cheating, but used the guise of an educator and just to hurt these women. Wow. Like, it was literally like if your abusive ex-boyfriend started a YouTube channel and was like, how can I get laid? How can I use this to get girls? That's literally what is happening here. This kind of behavior actually led that BDSM master to call him out on the danger that he poses.
You tell them that they're the only one in the world, and it's only all them. They want to experiment with BDSM. You experiment a little bit.
It's only been 2 girls though.
2? I've got like
out of all those girls, there's only 2 that I've actually engaged in a full conversation about BDSM, aside from just
and that's a lie.
Off the top, like if they ask me a question.
We've already seen 3 girls talking.
But every other girl on that list, aside from that's her name.
And for six years, you never heard that spitting on someone's assault.
No,
that,
of course.
So these women that you don't have a contract with, you feel it's okay?
I don't spit on every girl that I've spit on like 1 or 2 girls.
Blatant disrespect, disregard for human lives and how it's hurting them psychologically, physically, and yeah, permanently injuring them. What you're about to hear is very triggering. Don't watch it if you're sensitive, for real.
I have a permanent injury from one of them, and it's really personal and it's really embarrassing, but I think it's very important. I was practicing kit and play with him. This was something that I really wanted to do, and he said he'd never done it before, but that he'd be happy to try that with me. And part of which I wanted to wear a butt plug with a tail on it. And so we were searching together, and I found one I wanted that had a really, really small size, and I was digging deep, asking questions. Everyone was telling me start small and then you can work your way up until you're comfortable using the actual body part. And he insisted he didn't want to do it that way. He wanted to just go straight in. And I really didn't feel that that was safe, and I was nervous, and I told him, I expressed to him very clearly that I didn't think we needed to do it that way, but Daddy knows best and you need to listen to Daddy. And so, of course, he went ahead, and it hurt so bad, and I bled a lot, and I still bleed to this day, and it's been over a year. And I'm seeing a doctor about it, and I need to potentially get surgery for it, and it's just a mess. It's awful and painful. A pain that I experience physically every single day. And when I had mentioned this to him, as I was discovering that this isn't...
Oh man. God, see, it's bad, man. Like, there's so many like trash creators out there, and people perpetuate negativity for the sole purpose of just being mean and negative. And then it's like on another level when somebody gets hurt. And then his response to finding out that she was hurt is even more appalling.
Just a little bruise that needs to heal from playtime. It's an actual injury. He was happy. He was glad that I had a permanent injury, and he told me that means that you will never forget me.
He's hurt people. He's still doing it, and it sucks that people do this. It's like he's using YouTube, his subscribers, for his own pleasure, under the guise that he's a titled educator, and he's been banned from those communities. It's just a guy, a sad guy, using his platform for self-gain. And when people come to me with stories like this, we do and will spread awareness on it. So again, this, you guys I don't know nothing about BDSM or DDLG or anything like that. A lot of terms that were used in this video were I didn't even know what that was, but you guys really should just watch Brittany Simon. Check her video out. It's very in-depth. She's very knowledgeable in it. You just got to be really careful out there, guys. You really do. But as interesting as this is, there's always something that's more interesting to me. That's right, you guessed it. I want to know what you think. So why don't you go ahead and leave your creative and interesting responses in the comment box below. Thumbs up for those likes. As always, brothers and sisters, I will see you in the next video. Man, like, that's like some of the worst I ever seen. Like, it's like, how are you just gonna like use the people that trust you, the people that support you, and then just throw it in their face like that? It's so bad. But I know that you're ripping if you're not ripping, you're Greg. And how do you become a member of the Rep Squad? All you gotta do is subscribe, notifications turned on, be in the comment section to every single video, because I'm gonna be there, Greg the Cat's gonna be there, and the rest of the Rep Squad community is gonna be there, and I expect to see you there as well, because this channel loves you. Greg, let's go get some food, man.